That's so bad. I did not see that one before.
Oh God!
Ay.
The only belly laugh of my day. I'll tell you.
Tennis, my man. It's what hour is it?
It is happy hour. I need to be happy for an hour. It has been a day. Let me just launch right in. We had a threat, 100-year high alert threat for tornadoes today.
Nice.
And when we got up in the morning, instead of getting lighter after dawn, it started getting darker. And I went to work in the basement of my client's house.
That's where I would go to work when there was a tornado.
That's a good idea. And we were putting sealant, waterproof sealant, on the concrete walls, which is the foundation of the house, because there were some moisture problems that he noticed. Well, I suspected the place had flooded before. Little did I know that I would find out by the end of the day that not only has it got a real flooding problem, but when it floods, it's an inch deep all through the basement. Nonetheless, needless to say, that would put a stop to the application of a latex-based water.
Needless to say, I think everyone listening is rolling their eyes.
They know that. They know that. Everyone is listening?
Yes.
How do you know that's what he's doing?
I mean, I'm listening, and
in your, I didn't see you roll your eyes. Are you doing it behind your eyes? Are you like rolling your eyes behind your eyes because you really don't want me to know that you don't want me to talk about the latex paint?
Have you ever been on a Zoom call where something gets said and someone types "lol," but then they're not actually laughing, and it's just like, bruh, like that's like if you're not laughing out loud, you can't. You can't use that.
Right.
But anyway,
it also could stand for lots of laughs, which would be a completely different kind of thing.
Yeah,
I'm not saying it does. I'm saying it could.
But like, I have quite a bit of Zoom calls where one person is talking and there's like this like, and it happens when I'm talking too. Like there's a bunch of stuff going on in the chat and people making jokes and stuff, and everyone's sort of snickering while one person is talking. It's so unprofessional. Anyway,
and how do you know they are and he doesn't? How do you know they're snickering on a Zoom call, but the speaker doesn't?
Because the speaker, when you're speaking on a Zoom call, you are present in the moment,
and you can't hear.
And everyone else is muted, and you're not really absorbing. Like right now, I'm speaking, and I'm not really looking at your face to determine whether or not you're happy or sad or whatever. But like I'm presenting my content to you. And then when I stop talking, eventually I will look back at your face and determine your body language.
Well, unlike me, and I am talking exactly to your face the entire time I talk. Now, I notice these little ticks. I'll tell you a little. You look like a Trump supporter who wonders where the rest of his buddies are. Lock him up. Lock him up. The special on all the television stations, the arrest and adjudication of Donald J. Trump.
I guess we'll get to that at some point.
But at any rate,
so you can't put sealant where the floor is wet. Is what I'm hearing.
And more to the point, what we had to do was vacuum up the water and then dry it so we could go back to work. But what was interesting was that
when did the tornado hit?
It didn't hit. There was no tornado. It was just high winds and lots and lots and lots of water. In fact,
that blows.
So much of the town was flooded that my four-wheel drive Toyota truck, which was only in two-wheel, took water that was up to the floorboard. And I just gunned it and went through and splashed the little, Kias and the little Volkswagens that were to my right. Aww. And just plowed through. Oh, they're going slow. Oh, there's high water. I better slow down. Really? And then get caught in the middle and get yourself
You're like, watch this.
Not to quote Logan Roy very much, but you're a fucking moron. So on the way back here from my friend's house, my client's house, who was my friend, I had 3 detours and traffic was terrible. But I turned the computer on within 15 minutes when I told you, even though I wasn't here, but I just wanted to meet that deadline and let you know that I was accurate in my appraisal, and I didn't want to leave you hanging another minute longer, which of course I did, but I didn't but I turned it into
Look.
two parts instead of one.
It's
a 2-part wait. That was better. You would rather I said hello and then left than just not say hello at all and come on later, right? Shake.
Sure. Yeah, we'll do that.
No, we did it.
We done it.
We didn't do it actually. We did the other. We did the 2-part.
Well, whatever. So
you're whatever.
Hold on.
Let's talk about whatever, because whatever.
Like anywho.
Whatever. Anywho is one thing. Anywho is not whatever. They're not synonymous. Anywho is, oh, I'm comfortable with this conversation. It's just a pause, and now we're going to change another subject. I wonder if he wants anything. He's got anything to talk about, or do I talk?
Whatever.
Whatever means stop talking.
Yes.
Yes. And so
whatever.
You have the floor. You impatient 39-year-old or whatever the fuck you are.
Yeah, I'm more like 22. Yeah.
No, are you 42?
I'm 44, I believe.
I often didn't know how old I was. I tell you, I've probably told you the story before of quasi celebrating my 40th birthday when I'd actually only turned 39.
Nice.
I've spent the whole evening at a party, kind of pissy that the party wasn't for me. And even though people knew it was my birthday, they like ignored it. There was a bunch of new friends. It was my first time meeting my wife's new friends where we moved, and it was my birthday. And I was feeling a little pissy about it. Come to find out, it wasn't my birthday. And I thought, oh, that's why they're not wanting to celebrate. They're smarter than me. They know my birthday.
I had last week I had a situation where I had to book the venue for my son's upcoming birthday, and the guy that was taking the booking was like, "All right, how many years is your son going to complete?" as they say in Spanish, and I was like, 9, 10. Like I couldn't figure. Like I didn't know. Like I didn't know how. I couldn't figure out how old he was now to enable me to say how old he was going to be on their birthday.
Oh, God.
And
you had a brain fart.
And it was just
your wife would have been happy with you not remembering that. You know that?
Because my kids are 4 years apart, except for this particular month when they are 5 years apart. So like I know that my daughter just turned 14. And so what I needed to know was that my son was about to turn 10, but it didn't, like they're 1 month and 1 day apart from being 4 years.
Yeah.
So anyway, I had a little bit of a stumble on the phone, but I don't think the guy minded.
Well, I mentioned last time we have a new grandbaby, right?
That was the first thing I was going to. You did not mention that last time. You told me during our break that you were going to hatch a new one.
Yes. And so we did a week ago, and her name, which was unveiled at her meeting,
yes, is
Ramona Bernadette Hutchinson.
Whoa.
Bernadette.
RBH.
Bernadette. I only know the backup.
I don't know that song.
Bernadette. It's lots of horns. 3 horns and a sack. 3 guys dancing. Bernadette.
So there was a horn section at your granddaughter's birthday? Born.
Yeah, they first brought in a mariachi. I said that won't do.
Right.
That's subpar, unacceptable. And we brought in the
nice.
Motown.
Sweet.
Brought in the Motown.
Congratulations.
Right? Yeah.
Ramona.
Ramona.
What do you? How do you shorten that to talk to a baby? Do you say Ray Ray or Mona?
Could be Romy.
Romy.
Could be Ro.
I like Ro.
Ro's very likely. Ro. Although as a father would, he suggests that as often as anyone can do it, that they call her Ramona.
Mm-hmm.
And I thought
3 syllables.
Good luck with that. That ain't going to happen.
Yeah.
Roey.
Yeah.
Now my other granddaughter, named after my mom, Florence, has got nicknames that are just beyond the beyond. And
go with the flow.
I sang you the song. I wrote a song about it. But
okay.
Because her sister, prenatal, named her emergent little caterpillar sister Tupi. for reasons no one ever understood. We write it number 2, capital letter P, although you can imagine the potential spellings, I should say, not to be confused with the spelling of toupee, which you've got to watch out for.
Or I have to pee, yes.
Yes.
Yeah, okay.
Florence, Flory, Flo, Wren, on and on.
Wow.
Flossie. That's what they called my mother, was Flossie.
Flossie.
That was her nickname. Florence was Flossie.
My daughter, who is 14 and in what in America we would call middle school, but here it's more or less the same as the high school. Like they throw from grades 7 to 12, they throw them all together.
Yeah, as they should.
Well, I don't know that I agree, but
on an academic level, I think they should preparatory for their destination post school. Europe is much better than America, in my view, from what I know in the countries I am familiar with, in that they put their children on a path toward employability and employment.
That's true.
Years sooner. They don't even think about it in the U.S. Oh, you want to get a bachelor's degree in American literature? Yeah. Cool, man. Oh, what do you want to do? Oh, I don't know, man. I just like to read. Oh, all right. Let's sign you up, man.
Yeah, I just want to go to college and party. They have her nickname in high school is so the way a Spaniard would pronounce my surname is Rasmussen, and so they call her Rasmu. They shortened it. They didn't go down to Ras like they did to me and my father and my grandfather in high school.
And Ras is perfectly fine, correct?
Ras is perfectly fine, but they like the mu. They call her Rasmu.
Rasmu.
And
I don't think it's unusual for a nickname to be 2 syllables.
No, it's not. It's not.
So your nickname was just Ras?
Ras, yeah.
They never called you Ricky?
Never.
Hey, Ricky.
Ricky has.
Hey, Ricky got a very tricky dicky. Hey, Ricky. That's you, man.
That's from Richard.
Oh, Erik.
Oh, okay. No one ever thought about that.
Call you Erik, right?
But anyway, so that's what they called my daughter in high school. And today, my son did a little they had this event in school because today's the last day of school for a little while because of Easter, and they had a little race where you had to run around a track for whatever, and his name that they put on his little sticker on his chest was Rasmu Jr. So in the continuous ways where the younger sibling going through high school ends up being tarnished by whatever their older sibling was named or did anything,
et cetera. Yeah. The standard case in point in high school, my brother Jojo as we call him, 2 years ahead of me, and 4-star athlete, 4-letter athlete is what we call them, because you wear a letter sweater, and if you're exceptional in 4 sports, you're 4-letter man, and he was, and very popular, et cetera, et cetera. I came in literally 6 inches shorter than him and just under 95 pounds, because I was a little over 5'2" when I was a freshman in high school, and I weighed 95 pounds plus. I'd been run over by a motorcycle just before school started.
We've discussed this.
And I had a cast all the way up to my crotch, and I was on crutches. But my nickname...
I will find the episode that we just discussed this and link it.
My nickname was Midgie Joe S.
Midgie Joe Schrantz.
Joe S.
Yeah.
Because he was, in high school, in his class, they called people by their first name and the first letter of their last name.
Right.
So Joe was Joe S.
Sure.
And Mark was Mark O. Mark O.
Sure.
Mark O. or whatever.
Yeah.
So anyway.
Interesting. So that's a thing that is true.
Oh, so my nickname though is Diggy. I don't imagine you knew that. And only a few people call me Diggy. My brother does occasionally, my older brother, and some people I went to college with. But that nickname was not given to me until I was a sophomore in college at a community college, and I met a man who I liked a lot from Orleans, Olean, New York.
Not France.
Okay. It's near Jamestown, New York, where I went to school, near the famous Chautauqua Lake, the 26-mile lake, and the Chautauqua Institute, blah, blah, blah. Many discussions, many episodes. his name, I can't remember, but his nickname was Granny. And I don't know why. I never knew why. But he was an affable man, long hair, hippie dude. We partied a lot. And he said to me one night after we'd been drinking a while, he put his arm around me and he said, "Do you mind if I call you Diggy?" And I said, "Well, I'm not sure." I said, "Why, Granny, why do you want to call me Diggy?" And he said, "I don't know. You just look like a Diggy." And I laughed and he laughed.
Your name's Dennis and I dig you.
I don't know.
Come on.
He said, "So is it okay?" And I said, "Yeah." And he said, "Okay, Diggy." He never called me anything else for the rest of college. And other people, and we had a little.
Sure. Once someone starts calling you a thing, it spreads.
Right.
Interesting.
So, but my brother Jojo picked up on it, and I don't know about my younger brothers. I don't recall them calling me that much, but nicknames are funny. In Joe's college, were nicknames everywhere. There was a guy whose name was Jim Arnold, and you may remember Green Acres. There was an animal star called Arnold the Pig, and Arnold the Pig was a huge deal. It was a huge.
Do you know why I'm so familiar with that pig?
Because you love Zsa Zsa Gabor.
No, Pulp Fiction. There's a chat between Tim, whatever his name is, and Tim Roth and Samuel L. Jackson in the cafe where they're discussing whether or not pigs are filthy animals. And I guess one of them, we'll say Sam, puts forth Jules, says, Arnold was one motherfucking charming pig. Like if you're going to talk about how if being filthy means being lovable, then you have to include Arnold from Green Acres or whatever.
That was one lovable pig. I remember.
Pigs are filthy animals. I don't eat filthy animals.
Yeah, but bacon tastes good. Pork chops taste good.
Hey, sewer rat may taste like pumpkin pie, but I'd never know because I wouldn't eat the filthy motherfuckers. Pigs sleep and root in shit. That's a filthy animal. I ain't eat nothing ain't got sense enough to disregard its own feces.
How about a dog? Dog eats his own feces.
I don't eat dog either.
Yeah, but do you consider a dog to be a filthy animal?
I wouldn't go so far as to call a dog filthy, but they're definitely dirty. But dogs got personality. Personality goes a long way.
So by that rationale, if a pig had a better personality, he would cease to be a filthy animal. Is that true?
Well, we have to be talking about one charming motherfucking pig. I mean, he had to be 10 times more charming than that Arnold on Green Acres, you know what I'm saying?
So that's I have never seen an episode of Green Acres.
Well, it's worth saying. One of the things to remember about this as you tune in, this could be the Moonstruck of 2023.
Let me see where I can stream that series.
Zsa Zsa Gabor being in this was a huge deal. This woman had been a sex symbol in the entertainment industry, in the top of her game.
Yeah,
and she
I'm aware of that.
Do the sitcom, and the lead on it. I'm going to draw a blank on his name. He was also an actor of huge of reputation, and so when they did it, everybody watched it. But anyway, back to my brother's college,
Eddie Albert,
yes, and he had a brother, I think, who was famous, or was Eddie Albert the singer? I think he was a singer before he was anything else. I think it was a singer became an actor.
He's an American actor and activist, twice nominated for Academy Award Best Supporting Actor, first nomination for Roman Holiday, and then for Heartbreak Kid.
Neither of which I've seen.
But he was in the musical Oklahoma, and he played other stuff. So
I wonder if he was the governor in Oklahoma. Anyway,
he died age 99 in 2005.
Same as my Grandpa Joe. Anyway, back to Jim Arnold. Of course, what they started calling him back in the day in college was they would call him Pig, to which he would always say, right, "Don't call me Pig." So they changed his nickname to "Don't Call Me Pig Arnold." And they called him that for 4 years. How you doing, "Don't Call Me Pig"?
People are such assholes, man.
Well, so I'll tell you, stop me if I've told you the story, or maybe you want to hear it again. But when I was caught in a homeless situation in Florida, down near Tampa in Clearwater, Florida, for reasons that I cannot remember whatsoever, I was with Jim "Don't Call Me Pig" Arnold there, and neither of us had a place to stay. I was supposed to put him up, but I was somehow evicted or whatever, and I had a promise from a guy who was on vacation that we could stay at his house. He gave me the address. When we got to the address, the light was on by the door, and when I went to open it, I realized it was open, but I acted like it was locked. And I said, oh, fuck. I said, oh, man, it's locked. He said he was going to leave it open. And Don't Call Me Pig says, well, you got the key somewhere, don't you? He's got a key out here, doesn't he? And I said, no. Oh, shit. I said, wait a minute. I remember something. And I put my right hand on the door handle, and I put my left hand on the wall to the left of the door and leaned on it. And like I was feeling the wall. And then I leaned back and I pounded the wall, boom, 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 3 times. Then I took my hand off the doorknob and I pounded the door, boom, 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 3 times. And then I pushed the door in 2 places and reached down and opened it. And he looked at me and he said, holy shit, man. How did you do that? And I said, oh, man, come on in. Don't call me pig. And we had a nice place to stay.
Okay, so
Okie dokie.
some feedback on Arnold. Arnold was actually played by a piglet, and since piglets quickly, this is from Wikipedia, and since this is the Wikipedia entry for Arnold Ziffel. Arnold Ziffel was the porcine character featured in Green Acres.
Well put. Well played.
You're such a porcine character.
He was porcinary.
He participated in Porcinema.
He was porcinimous.
Porcinematic. Hold on, let me read you this quote. Arnold was actually played by a piglet, and since piglets quickly grow into adult pigs, at least 1 piglet per year had to be trained in the role of Arnold during the 6 years that show was in production.
6 years.
In most episodes, Arnold was played by a female piglet. The piglet was paid $250 a day and had a union contract.
So the pig, when they weren't related, they weren't cousins, or they, because pigs will have little pigs every year, right? A sow will give birth once a year.
Are you really going to differentiate between every season? There's that. Hey, that Arnold don't look like the other Arnold.
I might have noticed. So check this. Here's a point of reference. We've been watching lots of HBO series. What's the longest any of them last? Typically, it's a season.
4 seasons. Yeah.
Game of Thrones is in what? Going to be in their
Game of Thrones is done, right?
Only their 3rd season.
Well, hold on. Game of Thrones is done, right? They must have had like 5 or 6.
Yeah. I'm sorry. They part 2. It's a sequel. But whatever. You get my point.
3 or 4.
6 seasons
is a lot. Yeah.
For Green Acres. And I'm glad that to hear that stat, because that does make an exclamation point on my point about Jaja Gabor and Eddie Albert. Plus, it was well written, and you know, a sitcom was always, I can't do it anymore, but back in the day, I was a little kid, I didn't know, was a laugh track.
Right.
And now when you hear a laugh track, when I hear a laugh,
it feels so wrong.
It just seems so wrong. Yeah, I mean, it makes no sense to me whatsoever, because we don't watch anything that's got laugh tracks. So you know. Speaking of which, hold on.
I have to read this paragraph. Arnold can do pretty much anything a human can. He can write his name and change channels on the television. He watches CBS Evening News with Walter Cronkite to keep up with the issues. He signs checks and can adjust the TV antenna. He signs checks. He's the smartest student at the local grade school. He carries his lunchbox in his mouth and often plays practical jokes on other students. Arnold is also artistically talented. He's working on a novel. He plays the piano and is an accomplished abstract painter dubbed Porky Picasso, because whose piece titled Nude at the Filling Station wins first prize out of 2,000 entries in a student art contest. He even works as a paper pig, delivering newspapers, although he had a bad habit of throwing copies so hard, so badly aimed, that sometimes he breaks windows.
Oh, God.
Come on, Arnold. Get your shit together.
Where is all this? In Wikipedia? No.
Yes.
Yes?
Yes.
Oh,
Arnold is very lucky. He wins a trip to Hawaii in one episode and a trip to Hollywood in another. After a Hollywood screen test, he is cast in a role originally intended for a horse, but after the horse, implied to be Mr. Ed, explains to Arnold that he needs the job to send his son to Stanford. Arnold's deliberately bad behavior leads him to being fired and the horse getting his job back. He also wins a prize at the Pixley Bijou movie theater for having the most original costume. The theater manager says Arnold has the best looking pig costume he's ever seen. Jesus Christ. This is some solid comedy writing.
That's like a small book, man. That's like a booklet. It's at least a pamphlet.
Anyway, I will link to this. I will link to this in the show notes.
It would be like the pamphlet you'd get at the Arnold Zippender Museum in somewhere in wherever Green Acres was filmed.
You'd be reading it on a plaque. Yeah,
right. That's so funny. Well,
so we need to talk about modern events.
So you must be intrigued. The thing to look out for is Zsa Zsa Gabor's attractiveness and the degree to which that her character is so fully watched by the American male, okay?
Yes.
That it's responsible for its longevity. There weren't clickers in TVs that day, but you can imagine that the man of the house controlled the knob. So
I mean, Arnold knows how to change the
well,
TV
bingo.
channel.
There you go. That's all you need to know.
The pig of the house. So, any other TV series you want to talk about?
Succession. Did you see the second one?
Yeah, baby.
Last
night.
The speech on the paper boxes, dude.
Yeah, man.
Oh, we've not seen this.
No, this is like
We've
actual
not seen
passion
this.
from our leader.
He looks at Tom, whose character is just enormous. And by the way, he's almost as tall as Greg. When Logan stood in the boxes, he was the same height.
Did you catch the quip there?
No, I watched it twice to try to catch it. I don't know what Tom
he got up
said,
on
but
he got up on the box. He got up on the box, and Tom was like, I could hug you right now." Or something like that, which I understand because my wife is considerably smaller than me, and we have much more comfortable hugs when she's like up on a stair,
Right? Sure.
or a curve, or something.
Better.
Yeah.
Otherwise, she's hugging your sternum.
Oh yeah, or I have to bend down or whatever. But yeah, I also loved what an amazing, maybe one of the best relationships in the whole series is Tom and Greg.
Oh God!
How?
What are they called? The Gross Brothers or the?
Yeah, something like that.
Oh, what was it? The gross, not gross, grotesque,
something
disturbing.
like that. Yeah, but how Tom takes the big shit that comes from the boss and immediately deposits it down onto Greg.
Right. So the scene that I've watched 3 times is when Tom is driving and is getting driven out of his garage, and he gets the call from Greg that says,
Yes.
He's here, man. He's on the floor. He's at ATN. He's on the floor. And Tom yells out, "Stop the car." And he said, "Tell me what's going on with his face, his expressions." He says, "Man, he's moseying. He's
Moseying.
It's the most grotesque moseying I've ever seen." And then when Tom finally arrives, Greg looks at him and he says, "Look at him. He's like Jaws," or he's like Jaws would be if like everybody worked for Jaws.
Yes, I remember that line.
And Tom has this perfect. It's only half a blink. It's only half a blink because he takes Greg seriously, and he says, "Bum bum bum," but they are in fact like Abbott and Costello. They are,
They're so adorable.
Well, and Greg is one of the most affable people where he's constantly being dismissed. But Tom's come unto his own self here, as we talked about.
But he's also trying yet vulnerable, and he never feels like he has any power.
Right.
He's pretending to project having power, but we know that he's really
he's a spongy,
lovable Tom.
He's on a leash, and it's got an electric collar on it,
Right.
to say the least. But he's functioning now. The relationship of conclusion here, at least for this episode, is Romulus and Logan.
Indeed.
And
I almost mentioned Romulus when you mentioned Ramona before.
Right. Romy.
Yeah.
Ro. But in this case, they call him Roman.
Yes.
And I don't think his name is Romulus. I think his name is Roman. And I think that Romulus is a nickname. I'm pretty sure. Now, you can check that out. I'm pretty sure about it myself. But at any rate, he deserves all sorts of awards. One of the values of being deaf is that you're reading the words. And when you're reading the words, which I do the first I love the show, so I watch it with the script on. Then I watch it again with that off, so that all the stuff I missed in the scenes, because I'm reading it.
His character's name is Roman Roy.
Yes, but his dad calls him Romulus.
Right.
And so do his brothers and sisters. So let me ask, I have a quiz for you. And I must say, in our history, in our episodes, there are many episodes where there's certain things that happen that you and I agreed that you probably had fallen asleep. You and I both know that neither one of us believe that we each know on our own that you are in fact quite dull. And as a result of that, you just miss stuff. But I'm being kind.
What are we talking about?
See, that's my point right there.
Okay.
Exhibit A.
Let's get to it. What's the quiz?
Exhibit A. Here's the quiz. In one of the final scenes,
yes.
What's his ass? Jeremy Strong's character.
Yeah.
What's his name?
I'm looking at the cast literally now. Good grief.
Kendall, of course.
Jesus.
Kendall is in
Kendall's
the car.
Kendall's been holding back this season.
Okay, so
he was much more important previously.
Good. Very good. So here's the question: he's in the limo with Shiv.
Yeah.
And with Romulus, and they're heading back. Romulus isn't much in the scene. I think he's doing his BlackBerry, whatever he's doing. She's in the scene because she's all distressed about this divorce thing and blah blah blah. But she's thrilled because they beat the old man. But in this final scene, the decision has been made that they're not going to vote for the sale to Gojo. And as a result of that,
I love how last episode you kept calling them No-Go, which is a funny,
funny mistake.
Yeah.
Because it's just the opposite.
Freudian slip, so to speak.
Well, maybe I was trying to be funny. You don't know. But Gojo,
hard to tell.
The old man says he will walk. And they won't budge. And they all say it's about all this money, blah, blah, blah. And he says, you are not serious people. In fact, he says it twice.
Yep.
Then he walks out and he rails against the rats the size of fucking skunks in New York City. But anyway, that's by way of background. But here's the scene, heading to the quiz. We all know that. And we all know that they're booking for money. And Shiv keeps saying, it's just a play. It's just a play. It's just a play. She's worked it out with one of the board members, our own, Your Honor, yes. Viola Davis. If I've got the name right.
No, I don't think you have.
Viola Davis.
Hope Davis. So, who's great. Ultra rich woman on the board, blah, blah, blah. Shiv's worked a side deal with her. Viola Davis is another famous black actress.
Yes. So here's the scene. They've just got all this stuff under the belt.
God damn, Viola Davis has an EGOT.
Has a what?
An EGOT.
What's that mean?
An Emmy, a Grammy, an Oscar, and a Tony. Like
wow.
There are so few people. In fact, she was the last one, and there are there's like 12. There's like less than 20 people that have EGOTs. Anyway.
Meryl Streep's on the list.
No. Here, I'll give you the list.
Oh, because she's not been on a television show to get an Emmy, right?
Yes.
Yeah, Meryl Streep's never been on a television show. Well, anyway, back to Hope Davis as we mentioned, and here's the scene. The scene. They're in the limo.
Don't ask me what karaoke song they were singing.
No,
they wanted to sing Desperado, but
was it funny? Was it funny him doing a Leonard Cohen song? Was it just amazing? And none of his brothers or sister care less.
Yes.
Oh, they always say he wasn't loved, and they don't love him either.
No, not a little bit.
They may love him less than their father.
Yeah.
But anyway, here's the scene. They're leaving all of that. And Kendall has a wicked secret grin on his face. Here's the quiz. Why is he grinning like that? And you use what you learned in the episode, and you answer that question. The clock is ticking.
I think he's got something. He knows something with his buddy. No, I don't know. That was such a minor moment.
Oh no. Oh no. You have as we talked about.
It was late
episode,
last night that I was watching this.
Oh yeah, there's always something.
Kids were in bed.
We talked about the closing scene, the episode before this, when I pointed out to you the color of his shirt and how important it was, and you didn't know. You were
hold on. Last episode, I nailed your favorite scene. You were like,
"Oh yes, you did.
This is my favorite scene. What do you think my favorite scene is?" And I was like, "I can exactly tell you what your favorite scene is."
I heaped you with praise then. I will heap you with praise now. That doesn't diminish how lamely you understood the ending. But here we go again. This is an ending. You of all people, you call it a minor thing. Oh no. Let me tell you. Are you ready to know what that means?
Tell me.
I want you to think back.
Tell me, Diggy.
I'll take you back. They're laughing, making fun of Logan Roy's squeeze, whose name I want to say is Jessica or something like that, who's got a hilarious demo of her doing a newscast.
Right. Yep.
It's hilarious.
Yep.
They're watching it again and again and again and just ripping her raw while their two aides, the often discussed financial guy who's sitting on the side, I think his name is Tillis, and then their other BlackBerry scheduler woman who I'm not sure. She's mortified at what's going on. But Kendall gets a call, and to take the call, he walks down about 5 or 6 steps.
I remember that. Yep.
Who's on the call?
It's some dude I didn't recognize. That was
the head of Gojo, man.
Okay.
Skarsgård. Who's
Skarsgård? Okay, yeah, he was
the head of. What is Gojo? What is this eccentric multi-billionaire who's closing a deal the next day? What does he say to Kendall?
He was like, "I'm not going to go with it if something.
If it goes any higher, I'm walking."
Right.
So let me tell you something. I like you, but I'm getting this vibe, and I'm hearing this stuff, and you are on notice. If you take a step higher, I will walk. Now that you've got that part, let me ask you the question again. Why is Kendall grinning and smiling? And that, knowing that, why is he grinning like he's grinning? Because he knows that Logan is right, that Mattson will walk, and he wants his siblings to not get their money, including himself, because he'd rather fuck over his father, whom he hates,
right,
so that he doesn't get to sell the company. And he's willing to suffer the loss of his millions and his siblings' millions, and that's why he's grinning, because he's finally getting what he wanted to get that he couldn't get in season 1, which is to close down his fucking father. And now he's going to do it. And his father is not going to be able to sell it. QED.
Well done, sir.
Minor. You say.
If only that were...
It's just like a minor scene, man. Come on, Eric.
If only...
Put your thinking cap on, young man. You set your mind to it. You can do whatever you can analyze anything.
Probably.
You got to stay awake, though.
Yeah.
It's all that whiskey you're drinking.
The darn family took a while to go to bed last night, and so it was late.
Another excuse.
Stupid family. Yeah.
Stupid family.
Keep taking away my TV time so I can learn about this fictional world, man.
So, thinking a moment about the Logan Roy character and the degree to which his narcissism and his absolute idolatry of the green dollar, and imagine that he is in fact a version of, who shall I say, Donald John Trump, whom one would think, one would think,
correct,
Logan Roy's got to be thinking of at least a little bit. So,
were they in this
the
world?
joy that you and I felt, we texted each other, happy indictment day. It's really bringing a new era to light here, because much like his trajectory of running for election, a presidency in 2016, it took a year, and we were fixated for a year on the trajectory.
Yep.
The next date for a hearing on his new arraignment charges, his allegation,
34 charges.
34 counts of felony counts of falsifying business records.
Please don't tell me it's a year away.
Which the next hearing is in December. The trial won't start until January 2024. The election, of course, is in November 2024. That's just the first case. There's 3 more, which are much more serious.
Why does this take so long?
It's the criminal justice system grinding out the wheels. He has 34 charges against him. They're each a misdemeanor type offense that's trumped up. No pun intended. It gets trumped up to a felony if the misdemeanor crime of falsifying a business record,
right,
if that falsification is done in connection to the commission of another crime, in this case, voter fraud, misuse of public funds, et cetera, then it's a felony. And each felony count is driven by Trump signing a check. This man was faced, in one case, with a $130,000 payoff. Now, according to him, he's worth billions. According to us, he's worth millions. But it's needless to say, he's got enough money that if he had settled Stormy Daniels by paying it out of his own pocket, he'd be free and clear because there's nothing against the law there.
When I mentioned the news to my wife, and she was like, "Why is he in trouble?" And I said, "Well, because he paid off a porn star."
No, that's not true.
To keep her quiet. And my wife was like, "Why is that illegal?"
It's not.
I know, exactly.
Right.
It's only illegal because it was taken from campaign funds.
And moreover, he charged it as legal fees to his campaign. Moreover, that made it tax exempt, which meant that he was breaking federal law and federal tax law and state tax law. Okay.
Christ, this is boring.
Yes. Now, here's the thing, too, is that when it was discovered that it had happened, Trump blamed his lawyer. And his lawyer, Michael Cohen, was convicted of a felony and went to prison for 2 years. He got out earlier for good behavior. It was discovered during his case that he received his order from person number 1. Person number 1, which was never named in the indictment or in the record, was widely known to be Donald Trump, who at the time could not be prosecuted because he was in fact the president of the United States. And according to the Attorney General of the United States, he cannot be prosecuted as the sitting president. As Richard Nixon said in his famous interviews with David Frost, many years after his resignation, he said this. He said, "If the president does it, it cannot be a crime."
Indeed.
Now, Trump is no longer president, and one wonders, well, why did they wait so long? He hasn't been president for a long time. Why did it take so long? Other witnesses brought in, including Michael Cohen 10 times, but also this guy who's the publisher of National Enquirer.
I have a Nixon joke.
Okay. A little levity, a little break in the action.
Please, because
I'll pick up where I left off.
What did Nixon say when asked to help with the presidential dinner?
I don't know.
I'm not a cook.
I'm not a cook?
I'm not a cook. Okay, continue.
And by the way, the David Frost, Richard Nixon
I've seen parts of that.
Was phenomenal. And do you know the actor who's plays a lot of vampires? He's a very well-known actor, Langdon. Anyway, excellent. And the guy who played David Frost, excellent. But so the biggest thing that's going on is that in a lot of these cases, it isn't like what he did, it's how he did it, or it's the cover-up. And so for a stinking $130,000, this guy expected his lawyer to take the money by getting a second mortgage on his house, using the mortgage money to pay off Stormy Daniels and be repaid in installments so that it could be hidden in the books as ongoing attorney fees. Every time he wrote a check, it's another felony. Every time he made that entry in his books, it's another felony. There's 34 of them. They get 4 months to review the case and write motions. The prosecutor gets 4 months to review those motions, and then the judge decides 8 months later. That's the next hearing. Then the trial is planned for 3 months later.
Excuse me, sir. I have a question.
You in the front, yes?
Are you implying that Donald Trump tried to cheat the system?
It is alleged. It is alleged. Every man is presumed innocent until proven guilty by a jury of 12 peers who must reach their verdict in each of 34 counts unanimously, or it's a mistrial. Or he's not guilty.
Do we have 12 ex-presidents to be his peers?
That's a good point. The real question, a little bit more
or New York real estate moguls.
Can you find 12 people that haven't already made up their mind in all of New York City, where he's been a ne'er-do-well, and the snobs in Manhattan always looked at him as a Brooklyn guy, what are you coming up to Manhattan for? Aren't you from Brooklyn? Listen, all this stuff, on and on and on. And his dad tried to buy him into the Manhattan Society, and they're like, "You ain't got blue blood, bro. You ain't got blue blood. I wouldn't be surprised you show up in dungarees and a fucking hard hat at our soiree." Anyway, that's where it's all going to happen. So, but know this is it doesn't matter what's happened, and this is the big deal. It's finally happened. What's never happened is that there's a former president indicted. That means the other 3 investigations don't have to be the first one. It's already been broken. The ceiling's gone. It's going to pave the way. The next one is Georgia.
4-minute mile, baby.
Yes. The Fosbury flap. Once he could do over 6 foot,
good call.
Everybody did it.
Good call,
Everybody did it. Do you know, since the Fosbury flap won the Olympics, there's only been one winner since then who didn't do the Fosbury flap to win?
The Trumpberry flop.
Trumpberry flappo is such a crapo. And there's an interview with Michael Cohen when he says, well, what is Trump feeling right now? Ari Melber, the interviewer, says, what is Trump feeling right now? And he says, he's scared out of his mind.
Trump has
it's
feelings?
why I call him Diaper Donnie. He's filling his diaper right now. It's needing to be changed several times a day. I actually added to that a little bit. He said the first part. That's why I call him Diaper Donnie. And so know this, that as this is winding its way out, 4 months and then 4 months and then a hearing, Georgia comes in, and I predict this will happen in the next 6 weeks. They have an indictment, a much more serious charge, which is tampering with the election.
Mm-hmm.
Find me 1,106 votes. I only need 1,106. Just find it for me. Raffsberger. Republican testimony against a Republican sitting president.
That's what they could have called me in high school. Raffsberger.
What's that?
Raffsberger.
Raffsberger. They could have.
I have 2 bits of personal anecdotes to share. Today I went for it's probably my 4th or 5th time going to a physiotherapist. I developed a problem in my right forearm. It's a RSI, repetitive strain injury, from using the mouse all day.
I remember hearing about
it. And so I started going to the local physiotherapist, and they are fully fucking booked. Like, my town is so sporty that they have so many athletes that with injuries and stuff that it's hard to get an appointment at the local physiotherapist. Sure. And so I went a couple of months ago. I don't know if I mentioned this.
Yes, you did.
But
fascinating story.
They do this thing where and my week where I couldn't work was great for my arm.
Oh yeah.
It was so good. Like when after that week and I went back to work, I was like, oh, I'm fine now. But since then it's crept back up on me. And my latest appointment was today, and I went and it was an hour of this woman like massaging with really, her fingers are so much stronger than than mine are.
In the tendons of your arm.
In the tendons of my arm. And it was
long, stringy tendons.
It was just the longest possible hour. I say this as we're nearing
no pain,
hour
no
of this.
Am I right?
But at the beginning, this time, for the first time out of like this is maybe my fourth appointment, she pulled out a sonogram machine and like was like digging around, looking around to see if, like, she said, it's all muscle, but there's like this like knot here, this
Knots,
like
yes.
this rock, this little stone here, and she looked around but didn't really see anything. And then for the rest of the hour, she was just like, it's like a full hour of someone pushing on the part of your body that hurts the most.
Yep.
Which is a hell of an experience.
Yep. Did
I talk last time about when she used the needles?
Oh no.
Yeah, the very first time she was like, "How do you feel about needles?" And I was like,
"Acupuncture." She said needles rather than acupuncture.
She said needles, and I was like, "What you talking about?" And she was like, "There's a treatment where like you've got this like muscle tissue that's all built up and solid, and there's a way that I can go in with a needle and like poke at it." And sort of break it up so that it's, you know.
I'm not sure that's the best way to describe it.
And
I mean, it's absolutely accurate, but I would think that she would describe it a little different than that.
I don't know exactly. I don't recall exactly how she described it. Like that's my understanding now.
That's what she was. Yeah, right.
But and the first time I was there, I was very inquisitive because I'm super curious. And dare I say, skeptical about people that lay their hands on your body and cure you.
You don't need to be worried about saying it with me, so you can dare.
I dare to say, and but she explained everything that was going on the first time, and I was like, so like when you're touching my arm, like you have this this like 3D like this model in your head about where all my tendons are and stuff, and she was like, yeah, I know what I'm doing. Anyway, so every single time, really. We've ended up at the end with this needle procedure where she puts on a latex glove and has this needle and she feels around on my arm and then.
Are you watching it?
I have. She jabs the needle in. You can feel the needle entering, but then it's nothing. But then she starts to dig around in there and at different angles. And in some of the angles, it touches on shit and neurons and muscle and stuff. It is the most unique sensation. I've never had anything like this of feeling pain inside my arm.
A painful release.
No, it wasn't a release. It's like it's unlike any other kind of pain.
Because
in the same way that
it's below the surface.
It's below the surface.
Arm.
Yes.
Inside your arm.
In the same way that the pain of stubbing your toe is not like the pain of a root canal. Like it's a different type of pain.
These are all bad things. Yeah.
Yeah. But anyway, it's like she only jabs for a moment in any one direction.
Yeah.
And it's not, they say measure the pain from a scale from 1 to 10 or whatever. It's never more than a 6, but it's oh my God, what is that sort of sensation?
Fascinating. I've never had that.
And then she pulls it out and there's no blood because she hasn't actually like touched any arteries or anything. So it's just like,
well, not an artery, it'd be a vein or
whatever.
What's a little capillary?
Yeah. So, however, today she actually today she pulled it out and my arm started bulging where she had been messing with it, and she said, "I think I touched a capillary."
Do you see that?
No.
See that knob?
Show me your knob, Dennis. Yes, I see it. Wow.
See how big it is?
Yes. Patreon.com/happy hour.
Help me with my knob.
See this video. So today, she did actually do a thing, and she said, "Oh, you're going to have a bruise tomorrow," and she put one of these tapes on my arm. So
congratulations!
And the first time, like I can still feel the little nub in there, but she only did that the very first time that I went, and boy, it was very useful to have that tape there just as a reminder to not use that arm.
And it's a support. It keeps because it puts an extra layer, a very thin layer of support above your skin. A layer or two down from your skin works less.
I did some research, and there is no real science for like putting tape on a muscular injury. It's more of a placebo thing.
I don't think that's true. If I have a pulled muscle in my calf or on my elbow, and I put tape on it a certain way, it takes the pressure off that part and distributes the pressure above and below it. That's what the tape does. So having been an actual manager from a high school football team back in the day, and I learned all these taping techniques, it does have an effect. I'm not sure what your basis for this rather misguided opinion is, but you seem to state it as if it's a known fact. I think.
Well, I mean, I think that if it were a placebo effect, my data would match yours. Because you can't do a blind trial where you don't put tape and you tell people that you have it. I don't know. I did some research on why.
It's a good point. I think we should ask for funding, federal funding, of course. They'll fund anything. There was a
Patreon.com/happy hour. Oh, I have bad news.
Oh no, you got to go.
No,
or you can stay. That's really
no. We lost our only Patreon subscriber recently.
Stopped.
He was like, I have so many Patreon bills.
I knew. I knew.
I love supporting you on this.
The last episode, I was worried about this. The way you were, I thought, damn, he's going to work us out of a fucking job.
I don't think you listened.
You just went on and on about stuff. I don't even know what you were talking about. But before I knew it, the hour was up. It was like, God, what did he say?
Indeed. So anyway, we need another first subscriber at patreon.com/happy hour.
Yeah.
Because we have to pay these bills and we have to pay for research into these topics. And
well, here's a couple things.
HBO's not free.
To put our sights on for next episode. Spring has sprung here. The snow is gone. I'm out doing yard work, etc. And did I mention that we had floods today, so that all the streets were closed, and I went through the water, and it was deep, and blah blah blah. But,
is that related to the basement speech from the very beginning?
I never finished the basement story. So there we were, and a little water started dripping down the wall, and where it was coming from was these guys back in the day. It's a 120-year-old house. They put up a work table with a big pipe, 2 3/4 inch pipe, very big, or 1 3/4 inch pipe, I should say. And the front legs hold the front up. In the back, there is no legs because what they did is they attached the pipes directly to the concrete wall, much like I did in another part of the basement work when I put on a new handrail for the man and attached it right to the concrete. But where the table hits the wall, above it and below it, we sealed it, but we couldn't get there because we couldn't get at it. The table's right up against the wall. It held on with bolts. Water was coming out of their drips, and then it was coming out of there like a stream. And as the torrential rains continued, I looked outside, and what I expected to see, I saw. The gutters hadn't been cleaned. The water was coming out like a thick freaking funnel of water. It was hitting a sidewalk that headed downhill toward this area of the house, on a sidewalk, which over the years had become tilted so that the downside, the lower side of the sidewalk, was near the house, creating a puddle that was 20 feet long and 4 feet wide. That's what was pouring down the side of the wall. It filled the basement. It not filled it. It was, and my son had to vacuum it up and then mop it, and it was a postponement. But all that, and then back and forth, I had a business meeting, and then I was done for the day going through what I was going to do to take the table apart and repair the wall, hoping for the best, blah, 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 with the owner. We're just having a merry time talking about these options. He's a very inquisitive, very intelligent guy. I would say something he wanted to know about, the viscosity of the concrete and all this other stuff and blah, blah,
please
blah.
Tell us about that.
No. It's more than you can handle. You don't want to know the truth. And then I got your call, and I thought, oh, my God. I've kept on calendar. I got to my phone conference 4 minutes before the conference and put on a dress shirt for Zoom,
Yeah.
And I was filthy from working in the basement. You couldn't see any of the dirt. Had to go back. Had a 2:30 call with Johnny Bergen, the freaking worldwide guitar man, who, because I have, and another story for another time, because we're running out of time. I need to tell you the story, I think, about joining and then resigning from the Kalamazoo Valley Blues Association, the KVBA.
You mentioned the KVB before.
I resigned in protest. There has been quite a furor, quite a story, and I may do that offline, in fact, because I don't want to go public.
I have 2 things to mention before we depart. First of all, I really want to use as our show art for this episode the close-ups of the people behind Donald Trump that I sent you. The story is, so with this AI image generation, you can just tell a computer to be like, show me a photo of Donald Trump walking down the street in New York City with American flags and 1,000 people behind him. And the AI will do its best to do that. But famously, until a couple of weeks ago, AI had a lot of trouble with hands. Like it would do fingers, it would do like 6 fingers or 2 fingers or 3 fingers. And in this particular image, it had a lot of trouble with faces. But it was published as an image from some Trump supporter that was like, look, this is Donald Trump returning to New York City, like which is he didn't mention like to face his indictment charges, but like the imagined image was, oh, there's all these American flags and a bunch of people behind him walking down the street, and they're so in support of him. And then other people went and they started zooming in on these faces of these people, and it was just totally fucking AI.
It's so
and it's so
weird.
funny. So
yes, that art, and then the art that was also in the article, accompanying art, particularly the one of Trump in a cowboy hat weeping.
Yes,
I was just struck by that. Well, this is now. Remember my prediction, which turned out not to be true, that Trump would kill himself while he was still in the White House.
Yes,
this idea of suicide is in play, as far as I'm concerned.
No,
as far as I'm concerned.
Okay. I'm curious.
Listen. I want to ask you a question. Is he crazy? Is Trump crazy? Is he certifiable? Yes or no?
I'm curious about the Venn diagram overlap of narcissism and suicidal depression, and I wonder how often those overlap.
How could a narcissist who loved himself so deeply ever end himself because he was so in love with himself?
That's
and
my
he wouldn't have been able because he breaks.
Yeah, I mean, I don't doubt that, like, I don't know, Kurt Cobain or somebody was super narcissistic. I don't know. I actually can't say anything about that.
I don't know that Kurt Cobain was narcissistic at all.
And my other,
I doubt it. In fact, I think he was troubled. So vulnerable that he couldn't take it anymore.
Yeah, I take that back. The other bit that I have to tell you is that we're not doing this next week. Because the Easter Bunny is coming. And
in the middle of the week? What a strange Easter Bunny you have.
Well, the Easter Bunny is actually my parents are.
Oh.
My parents are actually here in Spain near me, and we are going to spend
now.
They currently are here. They're about an hour and a half drive away. But
isn't that exciting?
Yes. Well, so we're going to spend all next week together on vacation in the south of France with my kids.
Parlez-vous français?
Et je ne parle français pas.
You're on the road. Must have a code that you can live by. And so become yourself, because the truth is just a goodbye. Treat your children well. Their father's hell will slowly go by. And dream upon your dreams. Dream upon your dreams. Because the past is just a goodbye. Hey, man.
I'll talk to you in later in April.
2 weeks. Brilliant.
See you, bro.
Brilliant. Lock him up.
Okay, that's it for episode number 179. You can find the show notes at happyhour.fm/179, where you'll find links to that Pulp Fiction clip, all the EGOT winners, the Fosbury flop, and the Wikipedia article about the pig. And please support us at patreon.com/happyhour. We would appreciate it. See you in 2 weeks.